welcome to a very special episode of the Sprues and Brews podcast. This is the Sprues and Brews Holiday Special. You can listen to it through your ears, but you can also view it through your eyes if you are watching on YouTube. For those of you who are listening to the show, you're going to miss out on all the festive lights and the kind of crackers and all festive goodness, but it'll be a little bit of a different show this week, won't it? We're all here actually in person. It's been a long time since we've done the podcast in person.
Man, it's been ages since we used to gather around your dining table and record the podcast. Oh, actually, no, first of all, it was your garage.
The man cave.
Which doesn't sound quite as primitive as what? You had quite a posh garage.
It had a carpet in it.
Yeah, you had an upper scale garage. And then we upgraded to your dining room.
To a proper house.
Yeah. And then we went online because this little thing called COVID.
Yeah.
And so the podcast has continued to be online. So yeah, it's great. We're all together.
I don't think this is a numbered episode, is it, Dave?
This is not a numbered episode. This is a special episode.
So, well, I'm Matt, and I'm joined by... I'm doing the hosting duty today, Dave. I'm Matt, and I'm joined by Dave.
Hello.
Jay.
Hello.
And Andy.
Hello.
So, yeah, we've all decided to get together for the annual Christmas party. We normally have a bit of a get-together, but we don't normally film it and record it. And we thought we'd just talk hobby goodness. We've got some fun stuff coming later in the show as well, such as, for the first time, questions from the audience.
Oh, heck.
I saw more coming in, but I've not looked at them. So
we've asked an awful lot of questions over the years, haven't we? And now the community has asked us some questions that we need to rack our brains to try and get an answer for. But first of all, should we chat about what have we been doing in the hobby this week? Dave, what have you been up to?
Ooh, so I want to kickstart things off by saying Matt hosted our first painting stream in what, a year?
Over a year, I think it is, yeah.
As of filming this, it was last night.
Yeah.
So I got some paint on some caskins.
Stormtroopers.
The elite, the best of the best of the Imperial Guard.
Are they from the Kill Team set?
They're from the Kill Team set. So I had 5 painted already for the website. Apologies, I rearranged my antlers. So I needed to paint the other 5. So I managed on the stream. I managed to do all the kind of desert-y colour on the cloth and all the armour. At least the first layer of contrast. So that's pretty good. We had a game of Age of Sigmar.
We did.
I think since last
that is since the last podcast.
Yeah. So me and Matt are both going to a Throne of Skulls doubles in January, and we're both contemplating what to take. So we had a Soulblight Gravelords versus Disciples of Zeech.
Yeah. Now none of us, when we originally kind of decided we were doing doubles, had kind of the thought of using these armies, had we? I know you had all sorts of armies you'd gone through before you got to Gravelord. So there's some Stormcast in there. There might have been some Skaven briefly, very, very briefly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit Skaven now, to be fair. I've been painting Skaven for half of this year, as it feels. So I would do something different without buying a load of new models. So Stormcast seemed to be the one. But actually, Soulblight Gravelords I have quite a bit of, because back when I had my first tournament, it was a Throne of Skulls doubles. It was with you, Matt. It was. And I had the Legions of Nagash.
It's almost as if it's meant to be. What did I think for that one? It was a Nurgle, wasn't it?
It was Turmerkin's Horde.
Turmerkin's Horde, yeah.
So this is kind of a bit of an anniversary. We're back in a doubles, and I've got an undead army. That's the plan anyway.
It's feeling very romantic, Dave.
It is. It's feeling really romantic. So we had a really close game of Age of Sigmar, which you just picked me on. Mainly because of Chaos Spawns. I don't know if either of you two played Disciples of Zeech since the new book.
You can spawn a lot of spawns.
You can spawn a lot of spawns.
So I was using the Guild of Summoners. So the plan was summon as many Lords of Change as I can. Considering it was a 1,000-point army, I very nearly had 2 of them.
But my dispelling was on point. Absolutely on point.
There was some good dispelling from you, Dave.
Yeah, I was really impressed with my dispelling.
But yeah, it was I forget what the spell's called. The little Zeech icon thing.
Yeah, not the book, the icon that does mortal wounds, and if it kills a model, whoop, there's a Chaos Spawn.
Kills a model?
Yeah, so basically an aura, and it does mortal wounds to nearby units. The first model it kills turns into a Chaos Spawn.
Oh, right.
So obviously you strategically pick the units to be affected by it, so it's one of those where you're not particularly fussed if a Kyric Acolyte maybe turns into a Chaos Spawn, because that's a little throwaway unit. If it affects your opponent's army though, obviously they've got Chaos Spawn in combat with them straight away. So Lumineth, for example, that really knackers their archers and stuff, because You've got a Chaos Spawn chomping in the background.
I mean, your Chaos Spawns didn't really kill an awful lot, but what they managed to do was lock me in place, and actually it forced my characters out of position, which unfortunately was the end of one of my vampires because he got drawn away from safety and then got charged by some angry goats on discs who absolutely battered him.
They were way more efficient than I thought they'd be.
Absolutely, they were brutal. So apart from that, I've built some tactical marines for Heresy, but I've got a heck of a lot more tactical marines to build. That's going to be a bit of a slog. I think I need to put some music on and just get them built. But I think that's me for the hobby.
Well, Jay, we may as well move to you next. What have you been doing?
I've also been building Marines for Heresy. So I've got, I'm on to my third Horus Heresy army now this year. These are the Blood Angels. So I've been building the tactical Marines at the moment, and I've been attaching them with a bit of super glue just to the base with 1 foot because I've bought some resin scenic bases in the Black Friday sales from a company called Unreal Wargaming. And they did a bundle of... They look very like Roman sort of ruin type, very Imperial Palace, I thought. And the bundle was for enough bases for the Age of Darkness set, so you get cool. 40 of the 32mm, 10 of the 40mm,
oh, nice.
2 special ones for your Praetors, you get a 60mm Contemptor one.
Oh, nice.
I'm even thinking whether, I'm going to have a look, whether they do bases and whether it might be nice to mount some of the vehicles on bases as well, you know, going over and over
that'd be cool.
So that's what I've been building now. I've got some paints ready to paint them, but that'll probably be in the new year now when I start putting together the Blood Angel scheme. And then aside from that, it's been building up the rest of my Votan Crusade force. So I picked up another of the launch boxes for the Votan with you get like 20 Hearthkin warriors, 3 more bikes, the characters and whatnot. It's a good set. Plus you get more grudge tokens and things. So I've been putting them together. The army's almost built now. I've just got 1 more unit to build for the initial 50 power level crusade. And then on the stream I was putting some more paint on the troops. So I've got the land fortress painted. I've got some of my characters painted. So now I just want to blast through the troops this year. I want to try and get them done before the end of the year if possible. So the painting streams will definitely help with that.
Cool. How about you then, Andy? What are you up to?
I'm trying to remember what I was doing on the last podcast episode. I painted up a Kroot Carnivore, a War Dog Carnivore for my Chaos Knight army. So I've got that done. So I've now got 1,000 points of Chaos Knights done without having to give any of them marks or anything along those lines. Magnetised the base on that. So I've completed one of my hobby resolutions by magnetising all the bases. And then I've just been painting Death Guard. Painted up some Plague Marines and some Pox Walkers. And the Plague Marines I followed, I think it was Peachy back when he worked for Games Workshop. I think he did a sort of how to paint Death Guard sort of tutorial, and I've basically sort of copied that. I'm enjoying that. I'm not quite sold on the tone of the green because it's Death Guard green and then Militarm green contrast over top and just left at that.
Okay.
So I might go back over that and try reapplying some Death Guard green over it and then maybe highlight with like Skarsnik green or whatever, Nurgling green. But yeah, I went to Warhammer World on Friday. Yeah, Friday just gone. And I played 2 games of Kill Team, both with my Death Guard. And the first one was the Death Guard fire team, so the leader with Power Fist, who's insanely good in combat. A Plague Marine Warrior with a bolt gun, and then a guy with a plasma gun and 8 Pox Walkers. And I played against the Phobos Marine Kill Team, and they have like special abilities where they can be concealed, turn it to engaged, shoot, and then turn it back to concealed so you can't see them. And that got really annoying really quickly. But I played a game, got a draw 7-7, which is no lucky number, so I count that as a win. And then I played a 50 power level game of Death Guard versus Space Marines, and it was basically the Dark Imperium box set, and then I added 2 of the the tanks with multi-melters and missiles.
That's the Mythic Blight Hauler.
Mythic Blight Haulers, which were amazing. Like, absolutely just amazing. Like 120 points.
I love that little tank. It's a cute little tank, right?
A little tank like us.
It's a trike, isn't it?
It's a little trike thing, yeah. But it never hits for me because you only get like one shot with the multi-metal, one shot with the like missile. It never really. I think it does more for me in combat than it does in shooting.
I mean, it's like toughness 7 with like 9 wounds. So you throw it into combat against something that's not got anti-tank weapons, and it just ties it up for the entire game. But yeah, it was insane. Like 2 of them shot into a Leviathan Dreadnought and took it from like 16 wounds or something down to about 6 wounds in one shoot. And it was just, it was really good. And then I played another game of Kill Team, which with Death Guard, but instead of a Poxwalkers, I had a heavy gunner with a blight launcher, and then another guy with just a bolt gun. Just because of the Poxwalkers, they don't really do anything, just walk up and die. And they take all of their activation to do one action because they're mindless. So I just wanted some more Plague Marines in, and that was a lot more enjoyable. And then in the last game, I played against Space Marines again, and again it was the Mythic Blight Haulers, were just insane. I had the Fetid Bloat Drone with Plague Spurs, and that was okay, like that was fine, but I want the Flesh Mower one instead.
So that's the one I need to get, the Flesh Mower.
But the Contagion range as well, making it -1 toughness. It's like toughness 3 Space Marines, so I was like,
It's so good that, especially later on in the game when your auras
are massive.
Like, really affecting a lot of stuff that's going on. You just reminded me, there's a hobby thing that all 3 of us have forgot to talk about. Since the last podcast, we've all been in a tournament as well. Unfortunately, Matt was, well, I say unfortunately, you were at Warhammer World.
Wasn't I? Yeah.
But we attended a Purple Sparkle Unicorns, which is our local gaming group, and we took part in their 40k tournament. 1,000 points, wasn't it?
1,000 points, yeah.
I came second from bottom, but I got a PT nomination, which was pretty awesome. So I was really pleased with that. I was using the Death Guard.
Oh, cool.
So, I mean, for me, it was a really fun day. My opening game was against Mr. Woods here and his gamey Chaos Knights.
Yeah.
Where did you finish, Andy?
I think I came...
You were pretty high.
5th?
Yeah.
I mean, there's only 10 players there, so it was not...
Mid-table.
Mid-table, yeah. Was it 10 players? No, it's more.
It was a few more than 10, yeah.
It's the Age of Sigmar one a couple of weeks ago.
It was about 9 tables or so 18 players really.
18 players. Oh yeah, it must.
See, he's trying to downplay his kids.
Yeah. I mean, we did have a very close game, didn't we? And it could have gone to the Death Guard, but by the end of I think it was turn 4 we finished on, I had nothing left. So can't contest objectives. You've got no units left.
This is true.
But it was a really fun game. You brought along your Eldar, didn't you, Jay?
The Elatok Eldar, yeah. And I was on the table below you at the end of the tournament, bottom table, but I think I finished higher than you.
You did.
I think I can't remember now, I won 1 I think and lost the rest or something like that. But I love using the Elatic Eldar. I've used them before. We used them in the doubles actually when we were on the World.
Really nice looking army as well.
Yeah, they're dead fun to use. I love using the Rangers and the Shroud Runners, and I especially love using Illic Night Spear because he's sniper rifle. With the Strands of Fate dice, you can use the dice you roll at the beginning of the battle round to make sure he automatically hits with a 4+ or wounds with a 4+, and he's doing mortal wounds. You can take characters out who's killing like Space Marine. Not Praetors, that's Horus actually. Captains and things like that, and librarians. He's really cool, and I think I had a game against the Necron army as well, which was really fun because obviously in the lore, the Elatok Eldar or the Eldar that remember the threat of the Necron, so they're actively hunting Necrons and things. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, it was really good to play 40k again. I do enjoy playing Warhammer 40k, especially at points level. 1,000 points, I think, is just the perfect size.
Nice.
Sweet spot. Yeah.
That's. I think that's something we probably all want to do next year, isn't it? Play a lot more smaller games and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got a Crusade campaign starting in the new year, which obviously starts small. Yeah. We might end up with a few bigger armies.
We might have talked
Dusted the
about
Grudge
that.
I've got my book of grudges ready for that.
Excellent stuff.
Well, I've been doing some painting as well, and because it is Christmas Eve today, I can share that I've been painting the new Ghoul King with Crown of Delusion. That is such a nice model.
It's a really nice model.
I hope that's a precursor of the the kind of we know there's a death book coming next year. In fact, there's 2 death books.
Yeah. 2 death books.
There's very good odds that Flesh Eater Courts might be one of those 2 books, and that'd be really exciting because if they get some new models, say if they got some quote marks like Bretonnian Knights, Grail Knights, but through a twisted, distorted Flesh Eater Courts lens, it could be some horrific, rotten horse ridden by a ghoul with like a lance or something. In that kind of style of the new Ghoul King, I think that'd be really cool.
They could be like an elite undead army, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Like the Blood Knights and that kind of style army.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them kind of like not quite fully elite because I feel the Bone Reaper's probably your real elite. But they could fit Milgram because Soulblight really worked better as hordes with loads of zombies and skeletons, so they could fit in the middle. But absolutely, I think like you said, Matt, they should really lean into the book. Is brilliant and kind of talking about them thinking that this like noble race. They should really, but the models don't really represent that.
Apart from this model, they are the first outside of Underworlds, and they had some really nice models for Underworlds too. But the first proper like AOS model for them, and he's just kind of you can see he thinks he's a king with his sword and his crown. And he's there in his chair, but he's really a horrific, rotting corpse.
Well, there's so much they could do with Flesh Eaters. That I mean, I'm kind of hoping it's Bone Reaper one of the death books because I've got a Bone Reaper army, but yeah, I think it's overdue really, isn't it, that Flesh Eaters?
Yeah, definitely.
Some love and flush.
Some models, guys.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I've also been working on some Necromunda goodies, so various hangers on and special characters, which has been good because I think we want to kick off the Necromunda campaign again next year as well. We played a couple of games and unfortunately I think house move and other things kind of hit right in the middle of it, which kind of put the brakes on a little bit.
It was a nice little teaser of what we can do, and it really gave us a flavour of a campaign in Necromunda.
Yeah.
So,
and I think I really like we played the Ash Waste campaign. We've got battling over different lands, and we've had the recent campaign book come out from Games Workshop, and that's going to be continued every quarter, I believe. So I think we need to get into this civil war in Necromunda, don't we? And that's not to say that parallel to that we can't fight over territories and stuff as well. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, who's gonna sit on the side of the Hellmoors, the authority in charge of Necromunda, and who's going to side with the rebels who want to shake up the status quo and overthrow Lord Hellmoor?
I feel like I need to read some of the Necromunda lore because it wasn't until we started it that I didn't know who Hellmoor was.
Yeah, well, he's poorly sick at the minute after an assassination attempt, and his various children have already started killing each other because there can be only one, to quote the Highlander. So yeah, it should be fun, and I think there'll be lots of backstabbing and betrayal, and that's quite cool as well as Civil War because it means people can do the same faction. Like you were talking about the squats, weren't you, Andy?
Yeah.
Where you could have a squat faction that are loyal to Hellmoor and a squat faction actually like, you know what, Hellmoor's kind of done us wrong with some trade deals and maybe we'll side with these rebels.
His daughter doesn't have a big enough beard for the squats.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. So that'll be exciting. In addition to that, I've been working on the Osgiliath box for Middle Earth. The scenery in that is amazing. I think it's another race special, if I'm being honest. It does take a long time to build because each wall bit is a separate piece, and then there's the pillars that connect them are all separate pieces. But because of that, basically your imagination is the limits on what you can build. If you've got enough intact walls, you could build an entire tower, you could build a city wall, all sorts of stuff you can do, which is the advantage of a more complex kit, but obviously it's going to take longer to build it. Painting it, piece of cake, half an hour, spray it black, dry brush through like 8 different colours. There's a guide on Sprues Brews, check it out. And yeah, it worked really well. You were on about doing the bases in a similar style but with more grime and...
Yeah, for me Blood Angels, yeah, definitely, yeah. That's the kind of effect that I wanted, yeah.
Cool, and then I think... Oh, and I've started painting Scarbrand as well, because as we say, demons are going to be coming for the crusade. So yeah, so lots of exciting stuff on the way. I think what we'll do now is have a quick pause and we'll be back with a chat about what we want to do in the new year.
Hey!
Well, that was jolly exciting. Apologies for anyone listening to the audio-only version there.
Just what I need! A new tape measure for
There
the
you
Warhammer.
go, that is. Living the dream.
That's not a big enough range though. Votan guns are bigger than that.
That's worrying. Maybe kill team.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so Dave, you've been talking about doing a bit of a crusade.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So we should have. The original plan was to get this running before Christmas, but again, with different things going on, we've had quite a few painting projects. That's from moving house. We've not quite started yet. Plus, I hadn't quite finished writing it. I'm pleased to say that I am getting towards the end of writing this crusade. So it's going to be a 40k crusade. It's going to start towards the end of January, watch our social media channels and YouTube. And a lot of us are sort of doing armies for it as well.
Yeah.
So I'm planning on using the guard. I still can't say Astra Militarum.
Oh yes, you get better, Dave.
Militarum.
Astra Militarum.
Yeah.
Get in. Jake, you're going to be using
The Leagues of Votan.
Leagues of Votan. Andy
I'm going to be using the smelly Death Guard.
and Matt.
Corn demons.
So I built the sort of narrative of the crusade around this. I've got currently 8 completely, well I say completely original, sort of original battle plans which are going to tie into the story. I can say right now that the first game is going to pit the Votan against the demons because it's set on this planet. It's all going to be on the website in a few weeks' time, but it's set on this planet. The Votan are doing some digging like the proper dwarfs that they are, and they uncover some dark malefic demons.
Dark malefic demons.
I'm not gonna lie, Jay.
They dug too deep.
The first scenario isn't weighted in your favour,
Oh dear.
but it's going to be fun.
How many?
Never tell me the odds, Dave.
How many bloodthirsts did you want me to paint, Dave?
Just pay as many as you can, Matt, because you might need to use them at the end of the campaign.
There's only one Balrog in the Mines of Moria. How many?
You've broken the seal on this tube.
Okay.
It's bad news. It's bad news. So yeah, that's kicking off in the new year. It gives obviously us all a chance to paint up some new stuff. I know you've got a lot of demons anyway, Matt, but you want to really lean into Khorne. You're currently doing the Death Guard, Andy.
Oh, so many Death Guard.
It's good though. It's good. There's going to be some stipulations. So in the mission pack that I've created, for example, you cannot use the reroll stratagem at all.
Ooh.
You cannot use it. So I just think it keeps things funny. If there's that cast that you really want to get off and it doesn't go off, you haven't got the reroll to fall
Things
back on.
matter then.
You fail the charge, my territory, you can't fall back on that CP. So things like that. But I'm going to have the mission pack for everybody to download and view, and then as the games carry on, the pages will be added to it. So you'll be able to get, by the end of our crusade, you'll be able to download and play your own version.
Oh, maybe play through and change the events for the campaign as well.
Absolutely.
I guess the cool thing is, we've got this world, haven't we, that you've created for the thing, and we could revisit that in future campaigns as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's very exciting. I'm really looking forward to starting it. We're not sure if every game is going to be on YouTube yet, but there will definitely be games on YouTube that you'll be able to watch and journey along this story. We'll be using all the other Crusade mechanics. We'll be leveling up units. We'll be earning battle traits. Something else as well, you can't randomly roll. You can't pick your battle traits when you upgrade, unless, and it'll be under kind of my GMing, it falls into what's happened during the game.
The same play for injuries as well. Would you pick something fitting to
exactly, or we roll randomly. There's no picking and choosing.
Embrace the crusade.
Embrace the crusade. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on characters in the crusade then, Dave?
Pardon?
What's your thought on characters in the crusade?
No special characters until the very end. In the end, you might want to bring along a special character. So have one painted.
I was thinking actually of adding Angron after seeing this. I think he balances out, he rounds out the Votan force, I think.
How many attacks?
Lots.
So yeah, have a special character. You might want to paint up Mortarion. I'm just saying.
Literally thinking that.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really, really exciting.
I look forward to be good. Like I say, I also want to run a bit of a Necromancer campaign as well. So we started our kind of Ash Waste one, which was really, really fun. You're basically fighting over different road networks. And at first, everyone's like, okay, this is a lot to take in. But then after a couple of games, you're having a proper sit down looking at the map, not only to optimise your trade route, but to shaft over everybody else's trade route.
Andy.
So no, that isn't in the new, I forget what it's called, Athenian campaign. But we can have elements of that in the Crusade. I want to have a bit of everything in there. I didn't want it to be set just in the Ash Waste or just in the Underhive, because I think that makes for interesting list creation, doesn't it? So Lee, for example, had a Weber, which is incredibly strong in the Underhive, but then in the open Ash Wastes, it's less effective. That said, he still did a number of squats.
That Weber, oh man.
He did me in the first game of that campaign. I was playing Lee's in Zone Mortalis.
Black.
And in the end, I couldn't get close to the last objective because his Weber was perfectly placed, so I just couldn't get near it. But it was a really fun game.
Well, the thing is, we'll add some house rules, and obviously I'll arbitrate it, and I'll be completely fair and impartial.
Your Weber's jammed, unfortunately.
Yeah. So we are going to have some different things in there. There will be hangers on, and there'll be like named bounty hunters, mercenaries that you can hire. But there will be a limited pool consisting of the models I've got painted. That basically represents the various characters and hangers-on that are available. Say if Dave gets a trader or something, that guy's gone forever. So if somebody maybe does a raid on Dave's territory and maybe convinces the trader to come and join their side, maybe a nice way of having something else that you're fighting over, you might decide to... A lot of the comedy campaigns, you're picking somebody to try and fight over something. By having that as a secondary resource, so to speak, then it gives you another reason to pick someone as your target for a fight, because they might have a hanger-on that you really want, or you might want to kill that hanger-on and take him out of the pool entirely. So that should keep things fun. Also, I presume there'll be stuff happening on the I forget what it's called. There's a satellite going around Necromunda, which is often used for trading with Xenos and stuff. I feel there would be some kind of ship going from the planet to the space station, so we use the new boarding action scenery. And yes, it's similar to Zone Mortalis, but you've got more tight, cramped kind of corridors and stuff for a different environment, doors that you can open and stuff. So gives us a few different environments to fight over, which I think could be quite fun.
Yeah, I like that. Just having games in different environments is just really cool.
Yeah, and we're going to have a story. Obviously, we'll run it in parallel to the GW story, because the plan is, as a new book comes on, the campaign then shifts onto the new book then. But we can have our own little narrative of what's happening with our characters. Obviously, we'll name all our guys. And I'm aiming to... Again, we probably won't be able to film every battle. We'll probably do one per section that we film, but I will do a write-up of what's happened on the website. It's something we wanted to do for the previous one, and maybe a map showing how the territories all change and stuff. So that'd be pretty cool. Something else we've been looking at doing as well, some AOS stuff as well. Me and Andy were having a bit of a chat the other day, a secret chat the other day, about doing a quote marks campaign, but it's more of a narrative story that we're going to write between us.
Yeah.
So outcomes will change, but where in previous, when Path to Glory came out, we were planning on doing a big campaign, but you've got multiple armies, and really then you need videos of every fight for every army, and it all gets a bit big and unwieldy. So instead, we'll focus on a single faction, potentially Dave's Undead, because Dave's writing the 40k one, he can be the guinea pig for the AOS one that we'll write. And basically we'll see their rise to power and maybe fall when they get too greedy, and all the various forces they fight, which means we can have a rotating list of different armies that we're using. It's not necessarily the case of us all using the same army every time. We could also then pan the camera out to somewhere else and see, here's what's happening with the Cities of Sigmar during the same event, and have a little kind of spin-off episode. So we're thinking a 6-episode season, one coming out a month, and then we can come and revisit it another time, focus on another faction from that. We thought that'd be a nice compromise between a campaign and the kind of progression that you get in a campaign, and then something that tells a story that you can then see on YouTube, and it'd be an interactive TV series is how we kind of pitched it.
Yeah, and we were thinking different, not necessarily specific missions. You could have a boss battle between your forces and a Mega Gargant, for example.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, stuff like that, just to keep things more narrative than sort of match play. So
the kind of games that you wouldn't normally play in a tournament or an event or something.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
I think that's the thing with our content, isn't it? Especially as we go into the new year, where we're much, we're pushing towards the narrative and the open gaming rather than, there's lots of, you guys will probably watch lots of match play games that other channels offer. Will be less competitive, more fun and...
Well, I think between all four of us, I think we've all gone that way, haven't we?
Yeah.
We're not really bothered about going to tournaments and trying to do well.
I'd love to go to a tournament and win.
I mean, it would be nice.
It would be cool. It would be cool to at least get a top 3 finish at some stage.
Yeah, but
just say we've got 2 top 3 finishes.
That's what I'm saying.
I did alright in the last Taurus Heresy one because it was soft scores.
Yeah.
So that's the game's virtual ones. But I mean, it doesn't hurt just as long as you have
You did
5
like
good games.
something. You did pretty well.
I did alright, yeah. And if I hadn't played you in the last game, because they didn't count, I'd potentially gone up much higher.
Yeah. So yeah,
which was a nice surprise at the end because I didn't realise that.
It's one of those, isn't it? And people who are into like super hardcore tournament play, then fair play on you, because that is a tough scene, isn't it? It's you've got a wrong move, a wrong deployment.
You need to have a good understanding of the missions,
all the armies,
the secondaries and things like that.
I think that's one thing that we bounce between armies a lot, don't we? I think if you really want to, rank in these tournaments, you've got to pick an army and really know the ins and outs.
But equally, with build a list for fun, that's a cool model. I take it in my army. You wouldn't necessarily build an effective list because those cool models that you want to use aren't in them. So I don't think we'd ever do that.
No.
I think that's what we want to try and reflect in the content this year going forward, because we're not tournament players. We're not giving advice on how to win a tournament. we fudge our way through most games, and if we're lucky, we might occasionally get a win. But we'll have fun doing it, and that's what we want to focus on: the fun and the journey, the creation of an army, the fun of painting it, the fun of rolling some dice, and then the beers and bugmans afterwards as we tell the story of the forces and that.
Absolutely.
I guess is that a similar theme to your kind of crusade event? It's more on the what happens and how it happens rather than the ins and outs of 2 hours of watching dice rolls.
Absolutely, yeah. It's more about the story. Like I've hinted, the first scenario, the Votan are up against it, I'm afraid.
The
dwarves are always.
There are going to be missions during the crusade which are a bit more balanced, and the outcomes will have effects on the next game. But there is a couple in there that are more pushed towards telling the story rather than just.
My army just going into the crusade with just battle scars all over the first game. It's more by blood.
Think of all the command points you'll have game 2, Joe.
But that's the thing with narrative gaming, isn't it? War isn't necessarily fair. You don't walk into a situation and be like, oh, hang on a minute. Let me get my guys in.
That was always the intro to Fallout then, wasn't it? War never changes. Jay gets battered turn 1. I've
got like a second volume of the Bridges after the first game.
But you will have something to fight for, and at the end of
my
honour. There is that, but there is something that's going to help you during the rest of the game.
You just experience killing Bloodthirst is going to come in handy for later on in the year, I'm sure.
Don't completely die. It's basically what I'm telling you.
I'm just going to put all the models in my Hecaton man fortress and just
drive away.
Yeah, there's 500 points of Votan against like 8,000 points of Bloodthirsters. Might be a tough fight, but hey. No, that's
all under wraps.
The Votan weren't at the first war for Armageddon, Dave. I don't understand this.
The first war for Armageddon's coming to them.
Yeah.
So is there anything you guys are excited for in this coming year? We've talked about it a bit in the podcast, but we're going to throw off the reins entirely and go kind of fantasy wish list kind of world. Ooh. What do you want to see this year? What are you excited for? Is there anything that Dave, for example, you're currently really enjoying painting Cadians. What do you? Let's start with you, Dave. What's your kind of plans for the year? What are you looking forward to?
So this year, I can't remember. We're kind of crossing a little bit into our hobby resolutions, which will be on our next proper episode podcast. But this next year I want to do concentrate on 3 major armies, at least to begin with. Soulblight for AOS, Cadians for 40k, Horus Heresy, the Dark Angels, and then obviously I've got a Warcry Warband to do, Underworlds. There will obviously be stuff that comes out during the year that I will paint, but they are going to be my main projects. So I want to concentrate on trying to just not be a magpie and just really get those armies done. I think I've kind of shown that this year with Skaven, and I want to push that further next year. Saying that, I would really like to see more narrative content for Age of Sigmar next year.
Yeah.
Now, we've had the Thondia book, can't remember what it was called. Was it just literally called Thondia?
Yeah, something like that.
But that's it, that's all we've really had. At 40k we've been spoiled with Crusade content. When I was doing Crusade, I had books to fall back on for inspiration and rules and example battle plans and stuff, but for Age of Sigmar we haven't really got that. We went to a narrative Age of Sigmar event, and that just shows we need more content for that. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm sure you're all going to agree with me. We've all heard the rumours that next year we're potentially going to see 10th edition of 40k. So that's pretty exciting. Obviously rumours are rumours, but the fact that there's a new edition hopefully on the horizon.
What are rumours? Just rumours.
Rumours are just rumours. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what we do. Because I mean, I think back to when we got the Indomitus box.
Yeah.
That was
We got a really nice trailer, if you remember, for Indomitus with the system.
That was
you
nice,
see,
yeah.
because it's Christmas Eve today, I need to keep reminding myself that it is Christmas Eve today. I believe last year, was it on Christmas Day? They had a teaser showing off
Yeah.
the majority of the year's releases, just like seconds of them. But if we watch that back now, we'll be like, oh, that's that and that's that. There was an awful lot spoiled in that. I think we need to kind of watch that with a keener eye, maybe, to see what goodies might be coming.
I think that might have been New Year's Day, the video.
New Year's Day, okay.
They did reveal something on Christmas Day though.
They did,
I can't remember what it was. I'll never forget the Nurgle one.
Yeah.
They did a Nurgle one a few years ago, didn't they, for the Magic
Oh,
Kid?
the Magic.
Yeah, that was cool.
What came out in early in the year? What was the new?
Yeah.
What were the new releases?
Custodes and GC the cause, because we
They
talked
opened
about.
up the year. We had
What were the new armies?
we had Chaos Knights, a whole new army come out. Obviously, the Leagues of Votan came out.
Yeah.
We had Horus Heresy as the big summer release.
Yeah.
New Contrast range. There's been a lot of big releases this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, let's face it, 10th is probably coming next year. We've got the Arcs of Omen book series, which hopefully comes out very, very soon. And that's the kind of series that they do at the end of an edition.
Yeah,
Bridges the
End Times.
storyline. from
It's your Psychic Awakening, it's your, what was the
Broken
one before?
Realms.
Broken Realms,
In times.
End Times, The Rising Storm, or whatever
Yeah.
it was called for 8th.
Gathering Storm. Yeah.
Gathering Storm, yeah. Yeah, should be really exciting. What about you, Jay? It's on the cards for next year.
Yeah,
what do you hope for next year?
I'm most excited about 10th edition 40k if that's coming next year. Really excited about 10th edition 40k. But what I'm really also, there's two other things I'm really hoping we see more of next year. One is Old World.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether we get it released next year, I'm not
Well,
sure.
I see. Next year is the 40th anniversary of Warhammer Fantasy. It's also my 40th birthday next year, so I'm as old as Warhammer. Now, I suspect Horus Heresy was meant to come out last year. We saw it leaked like 18 months ago. I also suspect that then maybe 10th edition should have been this year and the Old World next year. Things shift all the time. We see that with review stuff, things shift all the time. It could well be that we get 10th edition in the summer and then the Old World in the winter.
Yeah.
Traditionally we get a summer release for stuff, but at the minute I don't think you can bank on what the norm is for releases from Games Workshop, because they are gearing up the releases. So
Well, Old World, you only really have to bring out the rule book and a new set, because most people have got old fantasy armies that they can use.
and there
can't
has
they?
been
So-
whisperings of then reprinting
Yeah, like
the
the
old
Ball
stuff.
Boys and stuff and Tomb
Yeah.
Kings, yeah.
Yeah.
You going to say something, Dave? There?
Yeah, I mean, if I was a betting person, I could be way off the mark with this. Like you say, I think they wanted the anniversary of Warhammer to tie into the Old World. If they miss that, then what I can see them doing instead to celebrate the anniversary of Warhammer is we'll see the first models from is it Cafe and Kislev.
It's like collector models.
Yeah. Obviously, because before, obviously, Games Workshop wouldn't tease something so far away, but I could see them releasing little things about the Old World this year, having a big anniversary event for Warhammer and maybe revealing the contents of the first box, but then it maybe going pre-order a few months later, but not until release until...
Maybe we have a situation similar to the Middle Earth box, where it's
Absolutely.
pre-order way in advance.
Yeah, they're not really scared anymore of showing stuff off. I mean, it's a big tease and be like, look, this is a few months away yet, but man, get excited. because this is on the horizon. That personally, I don't think it'll come out this next year. I think it'll be the year after, but we will see.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot.
We'll see more than concept art this year.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And then the other thing that I hope we see next year is Battlefleet Gothic.
Yeah, well, so, and again, this comes back to what we were saying earlier. We tend to see, traditionally, quote marks, a summer big release, whether that's a paint range, new edition of a game. That seems is a given for the summer. And then in the Black Friday slot, we tended to get a specialist game big release. This year we've had Dungeon Ball expansion, we had Necromunda's filled that slot before, Blood Bowl, Warcry, yeah, that kind of stuff. But this last year that's kind of gone completely off track, where we had an early release of Ash Wastes for Necromunda, which is essentially a new edition-ish of Necromunda. So, I don't know. Aeronautica, even though there's been minimal releases for it, is still going. We've had some models for it, we've had some supplements for it. Titanicus, we've had some models, we've had a supplement or two, but I feel we're getting to the end of the Imperium / Chaos.
Yeah, unless they can add some Xenos stuff to Titanicus, which I wouldn't mind either.
Yeah, but it feels right for the next specialist game to come out, doesn't it? And again, you tie it into the Horus Heresy and have Battlefleet Solar or something. Mm-hmm. Again, they're quite clever with the sprues for the specialist game stuff, aren't they? Like the Age of Darkness box, that is a box that can be used for 18 armies essentially, isn't it? Necromunda, you've got lots of upgrade kits that can convert them up. At Blood Bowl, you've got duplicated sprues to save on the sprues, but you've got different heads to mix them up a bit. So a Battlefleet Gothic box, where you've got ships that could be traitor or loyalist, is a nice way to do Gothic.
And then you've got the, each legion has a flagship.
We can do Resmen,
the Vengeful Spirit and things like that.
Yeah.
And then I think they've shown that these sort of older systems are popular still. I mean, the Horus Heresy popular, Old World popular, Battlefleet Gothic was a classic back in the day. And there are a couple of systems out, like Non-Game Drop Fleet Commanders 1. But I think the Battlefleet Gothic, you've obviously got the ship-to-ship combat, space combat, but it's also got that hook in with the lore and the background and the setting as well, which are very appealing. And I remember the Battlefleet Gothic rulebooks were so good. They had lots of like snippets of lore and stories and things, and they were really, really impressive, and like really nice sketches of the different vessels. Yeah, so I'd love to see Battlefleet Gothic this year. I'd really love to see that.
Yeah. How are you, Andy? Anything you're hoping for in this next year?
So I was actually going to say Battlefleet Gothic.
You should write in and tell them. There's two people.
I think Epic would be awesome.
I agree with you. I'm down for Epic.
I got into the hobby after Epic, so I never really took part in any of it. But you've got Aeronautica now, you've got Titanicus. The only thing you're really missing from an Epic is like the small scale guys. Yeah, the infantry and the little tanks. Because even the little knights from Titanicus are like 2 inches tall and decent size. So I'd love to see Epic, because I think that would be cool too. Especially tie in with other game systems, like you were talking with Battlefleet Gothic, where you could have a boarding action and then play a game of boarding actions, is it called? Boarding actions, yeah. And then you could finish off a campaign, like with our Crusade campaign, you could finish it off with a massive epic game.
But the kind of you can do big battles in Horus Heresy, but where you're talking like entire legions, you can do that on a 6x4 table with Epic, can't you?
Yeah. I'd love to, if they did do Epic, I'd love to see them do more than just Imperial and Chaos. Because Titanicus is good, but they haven't expanded it. And Epic, I think, would be great if you had 4 or 5 different factions to choose from rather than just Imperials.
Which you always did. I mean, it came out as the
there was Eldar and Orcs.
Eldar Orcs. Tyranids, Squats.
Yeah. Necrons. Tau would be really cool.
Tau were in it as well.
The Riptides, and then make some
the one that you've got, the massive Titan scale.
The Supremacy Suit.
Suit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the dream, isn't it?
I admit, all that sounds very cool. But I mean, man, that'd stress me out painting middle figures.
Yeah, but I think you don't have to worry so much about the detail on it. Dry brush or that kind of thing will look great.
He'll lose it, dry brush it. Where's that model gone? Sorry, I'm not seeing that again. Just spray and blue. Marines. Ultramarines. Want the blue. That's probably my scale of epic painting. But the idea of it sounds really cool. Yeah. Especially mixed in with the Knights and Titanicus and your Aeronautica flying over.
Yeah, you could merge them all together. I think it was at Adepticon, either last year or the year before, whenever it was. And there was a game of Titanicus going on. And they had sort of like a
Perspex thing.
We had a Perspex thing, with an Aeronautica on top. So.
That's very cool.
But yeah, awesome. Apart from that, I'd love to see Middle Earth properly flushed out.
Yeah, I mentioned in our review that the new models are amazing, the new scenes are amazing. It's a shame that those infantry are really old. Now they still look fine and they're like the bulk of your army, but it would have been nice to take that opportunity to maybe produce new Warriors and Moves to the new Orc Sprue.
Isn't it the 20th anniversary next year of Return of the King?
It is, yeah.
Well, I've been building some War Riders recently, and they come on circle pegs on the model, but then Games Workshop have been producing the bases but cutting out hexagonal pegs.
Yeah.
So you have to cut off the circular peg and then glue it on.
Or plug the green to the whole green stuff.
Yeah, and it's been fine because the War Riders have like a decent amount of connection points. But when you look at like Riders of Rohan, and it's like you're only going to be connecting it by a tiny horseshoe. It's just like.
So my hobby kind of wishes for next year are very similar to your guys really. 10th edition, I want to see a big shape up in 10th edition. I think 9th has got to the point where it's kind of run its course. And I'd like to see something fresh, maybe new core rules, different way of doing things. Stratagems, I want them gone. I'm not a fan of stratagems. I'd rather have something like reactions, which is more fun and interactive for the other player, rather than basically the minute it seems the player who can remember the most combos of stratagems has a big advantage on someone who's like, well, the thing for me, a lot of those stratagems could just be rules on the data sheet for the vehicle, and then you can point them as such then.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because with this edition of the game, they wanted to move away from bloat on the data sheets, didn't they?
But however,
what they've done is they've created it by adding it to strategy.
You've got like Space Marine Tank Crew's smoke launcher keyword, and all that does is enable access to the smoke launcher stratagem. You're like, we'll just make smoke launchers a thing on the data sheet. And that's just one example. Concussion is another. Like, what's concussion? And it's like 4 or 5 stratagems that trigger off that keyword.
I suppose the reason they did that is so that you're not just popping smoke every 5 seconds.
But in the old rules, you pop smoke and then you can only snapshot shoot, or you sacrifice shooting for it.
You can only do it once.
There was a trade-off. You can only do it once.
And there's really powerful stratagems. You can point it then because it's tied to the unit.
Yeah.
So
I'd like to see the mission streamlined as well, because I really struggle with the primaries, secondaries.
Tertiary sometimes.
Yeah, and then you've got your primary split in 2, so 12 points available for one bit. I'm like, you rock up, and you have to spend if you're not playing Warhammer all the time, you have to read through the mission and understand how do you actually score this mission.
I don't think having 3 secondaries really counts as secondaries anymore after the first secondaries then tertiary quad.
I liked when the edition came out and you had your primary. Then you had an optional secondary, and then you had your free set. I like that. I don't like this primary, and then second primary. I don't like that. I don't mind the secondaries so much because it kind of it gives your army something else to be doing in the mission. I mean, I'm a big fan of Tempest of War. I can understand why that's not like the main way that they do the missions. But what I like about Tempest of War is that you're having to change your strategies on the fly because you don't know what objectives you're going to put out the pack. So it kind of, it might change your mind on what you're about to do on the battlefield.
That would be better, I think, because it's not just a case of trying to remember what your own secondaries are and playing to achieve your own secondaries. You have to remember what your opponent's secondaries are, because at the end of the day you have to try and stop them from scoring secondaries as well. If it was just the single objectives in the game, hold 3 objectives, or hold these 2 objectives, you get more points for holding these 2 objectives, you sort of know what your opponent's trying to do, you know what you're trying to do. I don't know, it just gives me a headache. I guess I'm in the minority, it's a popular game.
Well, this edition's been very geared towards the tournament player, which I think is fine. It's obviously a popular game to play in tournaments and stuff like that, but Yeah, previous editions have been a bit more sort of geared towards everyone. I mean, the weekend I played Tempest at War and the 2 games of 40k I played. Loved it.
Yeah.
But it encourages you to build a very dynamic list. Like we kept on drawing cards that were like capture an objective in your opponent's territory and stuff like that. And because I'd built quite a slow moving Death Guard army, struggled to get it.
Yeah, it's a hard kind of balance, isn't it?
Because you've got to make missions interesting, which is something secondaries and all that does. But I've had great fun with the missions we've played in the 2 Horus Heresy tournaments we've been to, which aren't missions from the main rulebook, they're missions that Games Workshop have produced for those events. They're very straightforward missions, but I found them to be very exciting and very strategic playing them as well.
See, Ben Johnson pointed to that. I was chatting to him a couple of weeks ago when we were playing a tournament, and he was saying that for AOS, match plays here and narratives here, there's not a lot between them, but for 40k, your match plays here, your narrative's down here. There's a bigger gulf, but it's essentially a completely different game mode, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I wonder if they need to bring maybe the tournament play this way a bit and the narrative play this way a bit, and they can have positive influences on each other, can't they, without going fully to the hard uber tournament play, which what the game seems to be at the minute.
Yeah.
Obviously Crusade's different, but it is essentially a different game mode because you haven't got all those secondaries.
Well, you've got your agenda, which is a personal thing, and it doesn't matter. There's no impact on the result of the game.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not an objective. It's just if you want a unit to level up, they need to complete the agenda.
And you can sort of play the game in order to try and achieve that agenda.
Yeah.
So maybe we need the tournament game to slide a little bit towards that, just to I don't know, make it a bit more accessible. Maybe.
It might be the fact that we just don't play enough match play, and the more match play you play, you're probably more familiar with all the different secondaries. You're probably more familiar with the different missions and the primaries, and you get used to playing it. Whereas like on that one day, like I say, it's the first time we played match play in months.
Yeah.
And you're just like scratching your head thinking, and then you forget, and then you're at a disadvantage because you can't remember.
Well, one we did, the PSU event we did back in February, I think it was, I took my Adeptus Custodes to that, and I just wrote a cheat sheet with the secondary objectives, about 6 stratagems that I could use for my army.
I did the same.
And it was just so much simpler to play, and a lot more enjoyable, but it's still...
Let's come back to stratagem. There's so many stratagems in there that are just bloat and filler because they need 27 stratagems in the book, so there's a chunk that you never ever use, or that's very niche and situational.
The majority are, although the last codex I reviewed was the Leagues of Votan. I don't know what the Guard was like, but the Votan one actually, all the stratagems are really good.
Were they? Okay.
But I wouldn't mind if they disappeared and baked those rules into the data sheets. That's fine. But they were all really useful, and they were all pretty interesting as well.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, but there's a lot of. But then you get some codexes like the Eldar one where there's like stuff in there you just don't use ever.
Or even put them in chapter approved because we put in the faction secondaries, and I was reading that for the event, and I was like, you can pick. Obviously you can't pick any from codexes anymore, secondaries and stuff. You have to pick the ones that are in chapter approved. It's like if they put stratagems in chapter approved and they went like, here's 4 stratagems for Death Guard.
Yes, actually I agree. Because some of the books, it seems like if it's a Tuesday and your opponent's name's Steve and your birthday's in March, you can re-roll ones. It's kind of how some of them feel, don't they? Yeah. It's like so niche chance of it happening in a battle that it's almost worth not being in the book.
I agree with you, Jay. The later books have had less of the filler stratagems. They've all been pretty good.
But I wouldn't mind if they all got cut back. I think I look at the Horus Heresy where you've got core reactions. Each faction's got an advanced reaction, and that gives you the flavour.
And then the universal special rules give you the meat, then, don't they? And how many stratagems have got the same? What's it called? Transhuman resilience.
Yeah.
Just have those universal special rules.
Physiology.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
So pretty much every Space Marine codex apart from Death Guard.
Yeah.
Guard get it.
So just have it as a universal special rule that is a thing that certain units can get, because then it limits the use to certain units as well. And again, you can point those units on the ground where they've got them. So it's we've also got some of the super silly ones like. Tau have got some ridiculous one, haven't they, for one of the ones
turn off invulnerable saves.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, I had one of the games I played on Friday, I think it was, as a stratagem for Poxwalkers, and it's any unmodified hit roll of a 6 does a mortal wound to the attacking unit, or the unit you're attacking, but any unmodified hit roll of a 1 does a mortal wound to the Poxwalkers.
Right.
And I just loved that because they're like 2 attacks a model and they're on a tiny little base. And I was just like, yeah, charge me. And I got charged by 3 Outriders and he pulled all the Poxwalkers in. I just interrupted and used that mortal wound stratagem and killed 2 of them with mortal wounds before anything. I killed like half my own unit. But
So yeah, so
cool.
And obviously I'd like to see the kind of like continuation of the vote, and I think they've probably got another model range in there.
Yeah, they feel like a Lumineth book at the moment.
Yeah.
A really good book, but definitely room for expansion.
I'd also like to see an annual update of the Age of Darkness box. So different units.
The Horus Heresy book.
Yeah,
box,
Horus Heresy. Yeah. So you have Assault Marines in there. You have, I don't know, Solar Auxilia as the adversary in the box as a way to release a lot of plastic kits for them in one go as well.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think it'd be cool if they did kind of like not start collecting boxes, but specialised boxes. Like you said with Assault Marines, like you could do a box that's 2 squads of Assault Marines and then like a box of the upgrades and stuff like that, and just package it.
Combat shields, power swords.
Yeah, stuff like that, yeah. And then that way every legion can use those little boxes, but there's kind of supplements to the Age of Darkness.
I honestly think Assault Marines will be, you'll get them with like a basic loadout, and then like with the special weapons, you'll get a box that'll be like, here's 20 storm shields and here's 20 power swords.
Yeah.
Because 40k players will buy them as well to tool out their characters and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Before we move on, we should also mention, and you guys mentioned this off podcast, I think it might have been yesterday on the main stream, this next year is going to be the last Heresy books, Siege of Terror.
Yeah.
The series is being wrapped up this year, which is pretty unbelievable. I mean, I'm miles behind on the books. I've got an awful lot of reading to do if I want to catch up for those releases. But for obviously Heresy, once it's all out in the open and the story is complete, as it were, I think you were mentioning about narrative books for that.
Because the problem is you couldn't release a Siege of Terror supplement books that has spoilers then for the Siege of Terror, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think we haven't got the Codex kind of like release model, have we, for Heresy?
No.
Because essentially we've got Demons and Militia left and that's it, and they'll probably be early next year. But then all of the rules for every army is out.
Yeah.
What you can do then is have a, I don't know, Cygnus Prime supplement, which then adds fun new stuff for the Blood Angels and Demons narratively, but then you also use that as an excuse to release plastic Ruinstorm Demons, lesser demons for the army of the Ruinstorm that are different than your more kind of like formed Chaos Demons from 40k. At the same time you release those Assault Marines at the same time, because that fits in narratively with the Blood Angel army.
I've liked the PDF stuff they've been doing on Warcom.
But you get missions,
You get a new unit. The one I particularly like is the Thousand Suns, because I've got a Thousand Suns 30k army. And they get this cool new unit. Dark Angels one wasn't quite as good because it was basically just the Inner Circle Knights, but slightly different. Yeah. I thought they were really good. So to see them in a book would be cool.
Yeah, there's lots of fun stuff they can do, and then I've got a feeling we're going to see a lot of releases next year. We've seen the release schedule for AOS. There's like 1 million books. Presumably we're getting 40k in the summer, and normally the first 2 books in that box will follow after it. And then you normally get a bit of a lull, don't you? Because they're releasing pretty much whole model ranges for those 2 armies. What would you like to see? Now there's rumours, isn't there? But what would you like to see in that core box for 40k?
What would I like to see?
Yeah.
I'd like to see some more Guard, please.
Well, God, yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's ever going to happen, but if we're wish listing, some
it's
more Guard.
got to be Primaris Terminators and Primaris Jump Marines.
Yeah. Now the rumours that we've heard are the first book will be Angels of Death. Blood Angels / Dark Angels in the same book, which I like. That's a throwback to 2nd edition, and those kind of Codex supplements, you could get a couple of them in one book. That's more like the Horus Heresy release, and I again quite like that, because from a marketing point of view, Jane's got a Blood Angels army, but there's some Dark Angels units in this book as well, so maybe I'll start a Dark Angels army as well.
Yeah.
And Tyranids is the other army rumoured to be in that box, which again kind of leans into the there's lots of lore of Tyranids fighting Blood Angels, isn't there?
You know what I'd love to see in a 40k starter box? not Space Marines.
Me too, but I think they're always going to be in it.
Because imagine like Tau versus Tyranids or something along those lines, and it's like Tau, and you get a bunch of Tau scenery and some, new plastic kits, but Tau have got loads of plastic kits already, so it's... one thing that I don't like about 40k too much is that the Space Marines take up most of 40k, whereas you look at all the Xenos factions and there's so much untapped potential in those armies, isn't there? Because like you could have Tau versus Orcs, and like you got the combat, you got a shooting army. That's perfect for like a starter box or whatever. But
I think Space Marines like the poster boy, aren't they? You ask someone who isn't into Warhammer, name something Warhammer 40,000, they'll probably say Space Marine because it's identifiable, isn't it?
Yeah. You're talking about untapped potential. The Yanari. Well, are they actually going to probably get a flipping range?
Yeah. I mean, you've got potentially a whole new army in the Yanari, haven't you?
They just seem to have like appeared and they're just in the background now. I don't understand the thinking behind them, but that's probably a whole other subject. Anyway, I'm digressing.
I'm digressing. It's Christmas party day. You can digress what you like. Dream armies I'd like in the starter box. We will go with Hrud versus Exodites.
Excellent, that sounds so good.
Playing Space Skaven against Elves on Dinosaurs. That'd be the best 40k starter box ever.
That'd be so out there, it'd be awesome.
It's never going to happen.
I don't think that'd ever happen. Do you think Exodites are a possibility for next year?
Exodites have been hinted at so much.
They'd be great. I mean, you look, they've done the Gene Stealer cults, they've done the Harlequins, Adeptus Mechanicus,
Squats,
Sisters of Battle, the Squats. I think the Exodites, it's completely different, isn't it? Like a more sort of feral type, almost like rivaling the Orcs, but with some advanced technology.
I'd rather see that than an army, personally.
Yeah, I think so. Much more interesting from a lore point of view.
I think their main rivals, in regards to maybe the next brand new army we see, will be the Dark Mechanicum.
Yeah, we've seen bits about Vashtor, the Archifane.
I always think of what's his face from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
No, we don't know what if he is Dark Mechanicum or not.
He's definitely not an Exodite, is he?
He's definitely not an Exodite. I think Warcom hinted that even maybe Dark Mechanicum is something else entirely, but I guess that's the point, isn't it? The Leagues of Votum, where the concept of squats turned into something new. Vashtor and whatever follows for him could be the concept of Dark Mechanicum. You merge it with demons and technology and turn it into something new and fresh. There's no need for them to be a slave to the old lore if there's new interesting stuff they could do by taking those concepts.
We're talking about next year, right? There's one thing that I don't think we can finish the segment on without raising and without having an opinion on, right? Right? Angron is coming out early in the new year. We've got Magnus, he's been rocking around for some time now, Mortarion, again, he's been around for a while. Vashtor, he's no such small model, is he? On the Imperium, who we got? Guilliman. Is it time?
Guilliman, Trajan Valoris, and what's her face from the Adeptus Sororitas?
We've got two members of the High Council of Terror. There's one in the Astra Militarum book as well.
Lord Solar as well. Anyway, is 2023 going to be the year that Guilliman gets serious help from another Primarch?
Yeah, if they're lining it.
It's going to be the Lion.
If it's the Lion, then I'm absolutely getting a Dark Angels 40k army. I think that's the only thing I have.
So here you go then, Dave. So if the starter box was Blood Angels versus Tyrannies, but with a Angels of Darkness book, so those Blood Angels you could build as Dark Angels, which of those two sides would you go for then? Dark Angels or Tyrannies?
Dark Angels.
That was quick. See, I've been tempted. In fact, before you came round, I was thinking I've got a Gene Stealer Court army, and if the rumours are true, it might be a good time to start painting together some of the newer Tyrannid stuff with the hopes that I can then expand that into a bigger Tyrannid army down the line.
A lot of biomass. They're a really fun army, and a really fun army to play and use. So we think the Lion.
Oh yeah, I think so.
I'm kind of hoping it's not, because I feel that's too predictable. Like, I'd love to see Lehman Russ
Yeah.
Vulcan, because we know he's like immortal or whatever. Imagine him going up against Angron, gets killed and then
You need to read Echoes of Eternity, Andy, before you start making assumptions about Vulcan.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That was very spoiled.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. But yeah, Vulcan's interesting. He's in Echoes of Eternity.
Yeah. Well, he's one of those characters. I mean, I've not read all the Horus Heresy books, but he's one of those Primarchs that I think has potential to be very. He's what Gulliman needs right now.
I think they could. I personally think it will be the Lion.
Yeah.
But I actually think someone like Rogel Dawn coming back would be quite interesting for the Imperium as well, because he's quite similar to Gulliman, but I think he could come back as more of a Templar type character.
Yeah.
But I do think it will be the Lion.
What about one of the missing Primarchs?
I don't think we'll see one of them.
No, I don't think we'll ever see that. Yeah.
And I guess they've always existed. So you could
That was Matt attempted to bring up a discussion that we'll just shut it down. Like, no, that's not happening.
Okay.
We'll be able to see Sanguinius. Come on.
Sanguinius is an interesting one. That
a beacon for the Imperium.
Do we think this is like a placeholder until after the two books, and then we can come back to this discussion?
It's
because
definitely not Sanguinius.
yeah.
Well, I think there was a story of where like his body's in stasis, his corpse is in stasis.
He's on Baal, isn't he?
On Baal, yeah.
Or his
Columbus.
remnants.
No, his body is. I think he wasn't
His dress
evaporated, destroyed. But they brought Gulliman back from the dead.
Yeah.
You know, the Sanguinor is the spirit of Sanguinius apparently.
Death isn't the handicap.
No,
This is what I mean. You don't need to be slaves to the law. The Imperium is so kind of broken, isn't it? Somebody, some little servitor reads an extract from something, gets it wrong, and then that's fact. Then
you saw that in Saturnine with the banner. The Lion comes back. I can see him coming back less as like the paladin that we knew him as, more of a monster hunter. I mean, he was the ultimate monster hunter in the Great Crusade, and the Warhammer 41st millennium is full of monsters. You got Angron coming back. You know.
I mean, if you think from the lore perspective, and you've not really worked on this yet, we know that with the big rift.
The Cicatrix Maledict.
Thanks, Matt. We know that the Blood Angels are kind of holding it together for the Imperium on the wrong side of this rift. We've seen lots of things going on the Terror side of the rift with all the with Octavius. And all the other books that we've had, campaign books, we've had nothing.
Oh, that's it. Dante's
on the dark side of the rift.
He's the was he regent
of the
he's like Gilliman's equivalent on the other side.
He
of the
absolutely needs a new model.
Dante needs to get through the Rubicon, doesn't he? For sure.
Yeah.
But
maybe we revisit that side of the galaxy in this Arcs of Omen. Maybe we see what Abaddon's doing on this side, and then we have the final book maybe set on the other side and find out what's been happening over there leading up to 10th edition, where reinforcements for the Imperium maybe come over.
Yeah, but that's absolutely somewhere where we can actually see Sanguinius coming back, because they are up against it on that side. We haven't seen much on that side of the galaxy.
Yeah.
So, but like I say, it probably is still a line. But I could see why they would bring back a character like Sanguinius.
Yeah.
I do think another Primarch will be interesting one. There's only a few in the Sanctuary. I'd like to see them do something with the old ones.
That'd be interesting. And we've got so many Xenos races as well. There's lots of potential for new. The danger is you don't want to keep releasing new armies, because then we were talking about bloat earlier.
Yeah.
It gets too unmanageable to balance the game.
It does.
It'd be nice to see, like Tau Empire. I think they're just called Tau now, aren't they? But having some of those more alien races within the Empire, I always thought would be a really cool concept.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? For me, I'd love it if they stopped bringing out new armies all the time, which I know sounds stupid, but then focused on the ones that are already there. I mean, look at Warp Spiders. How old are they now?
This is the problem they've got, though, I think. With the way they do Warhammer 40k, they release a codex, so your Votan codex is out now, and if they want to add more units to the Votan, that's another Votan codex.
Yeah.
If they could do something like the Horus Heresy,
arguably not, because we have new units added through Kill Team that aren't in the codexes but do have data sheets on Warcom.
Yeah, which is true, but then I feel the codex is a bit invalidated then, and it doesn't feel like a finished product or a product that you're buying. I don't know. I like the Horus Heresy way they've done it, where you've got your core army lists, and then you've got expanded PDFs.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would do it. But I would like to see more units released outside of a codex release cycle as well. Because you could just release a box of Warp Spiders. They used to do it back in the day. You used to get your codex. I mean, the thing back then though was the codex would come out and you wouldn't have a model range to support it.
Yeah, so the codex would come out with everything that the studio would want to do over the course of the edition. That doesn't always mean that there's going to be models. And then you've got the tricky problem where third parties were producing models based on GWIP, and legally it all got really messy, didn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't they have that big issue of chapter?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because Games Workshop had planned on releasing these models, but this company was, I guess, in their eyes, just filling a range of a model that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And obviously, with Games Workshop being so guarded in the past of what it released, you had those problems. Where now we've got the other extreme, where if a book comes out, the model releases are out as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you could slim the codexes down to be lore, crusade content, your key army rules that aren't going to change, but there's no data sheets in the codex anymore.
I do wonder if we get a shift
online.
to digital army building. The books make a lot of money as well, don't they? You know, that's
and I like the codexes.
I like having a physical, but I'd be really disappointed if all the codexes went to just digital. I like having
a book to read.
I mean, what else do you read on the toilet, guys? It's
No.
got to be.
But then I remember like the Adeptus Custodes one. It was out of date as soon as it come out.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, the Leagues of Votan's technically out of date.
Yeah,
because it got FAQ before it even came out.
I agree with you. A book full of lore and the narrative content in there. You could even have some multiplayer content
and
in there
your
as
core
well.
rules, your core army rules,
You could even have the core game rules in there as well if you strip out all the data sheets.
It's just
and
one
stuff.
book to take, isn't it?
And then you have digital profiles for the models, which then change.
Yeah, because then you could, like 3 months down the line, the Warp Spiders come out with a new profile just all online.
I've said this before, and this is going. You're talking about going digital. This is going back in time, right? And I've said this on previous podcasts or videos, whatever. Ring binder. Get your different. They release like a new thing that you put in your binder. This rule's been updated. Here's your new sheet. Click.
And you can
it's
keep
in.
them in White Dwarf and stuff.
Yeah, in a nice little folder. Bosh. All your lore's still there. You can update that with some new bits.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Faxes,
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Maybe put some sticker sheets at the back. That's going too far.
Oh.
But that absolutely, I think, would be awesome, and it would solve that problem. Here's your new points. Print them from Warcom. Stick them in your binder. Bosh.
Well,
there you go.
on the bombshell of Warhammer 40,000 file faxes, should we have a look at some of the questions that the community has asked us?
Yeah.
We've been asking the community a lot of questions over the last few years. Every week-ish, asking a question on what their favourite sprue is, what their favourite brew is, what their favourite jobs in the Imperium are. But we've asked you.
EDs, brah.
We've asked you to send us our questions, and I'd say I don't know what these are. I printed them off, but the guys don't know what these are. So, Dave, I'll pass one down to you.
Epic.
Jay.
Thank you.
So we'll start with the first round. Dave, do you want to take it away with the first round of questions?
Okay, let's have a look. So this is coming from Average Paints. Cheers, Average Paints. What brew would you liken your favourite army faction to? Example, my tau would be a double espresso because they are strong, go down quickly, and pack enough firepower to wake anyone up.
That's a really hard question.
That's a really hard question. I would probably say my Death Guard with a hot chocolate because they are. I don't know where I was going with that. They are.
Definitely see Mortarian sitting down with a hot chocolate at the end of a.
They're quite slow, aren't they? And you can imagine being chilled out of a hot chocolate. I don't really know where I was going with that. Anybody else want to answer?
I would say
like
Bovril or something. A cup of
Bovril, yeah, that could work.
See, I was going to say Guinness because I don't like the smell. It tastes weird, and I imagine Death Guard would do like that.
That's probably a better answer than mine.
Dettol.
A cup of Dettol. No, that would be cleaning them out, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, that's what I would give them.
I prefer Andy's answer.
Or you could have Angron as Red Bull because it gets you jumping up and down and.
See, Andy's good at this question.
Yeah,
So
that's really
I'm
good.
going for this. So my Corn Demons, the faction I'm at the minute. So you need to pick a beverage for them to go with. I'm going to go for a chili hot chocolate. We've got dark notes of the mysterious kind of nature of the warp, but you've got the heat and the anger of the blood god in there too.
Well, hot chocolate doesn't scream violence to me.
But chili hot chocolate does.
Yeah, true.
True. I could imagine like my Imperial Guard commander with his like curly moustache drinking an Earl Grey. Like while his
Yeah, that works, that's perfect.
jump forwards into battle.
What were the Votan drink, Jay?
Iron Brew.
I don't think there's any explanation needed. I think that's just a good enough
That's
answer
the
as it
best one by
is.
far.
Yeah, nailed that one. Yeah.
That's one, Jake.
Amazing. So Jay, what have you got?
Let's have a look. It's exciting, I like this. So this is from Redtooth. Dave, what is your least favourite sprue and least favourite brew?
Ooh. So my least favourite sprue, now I might have seen this question on social media, so I've got a bit of a heads up. I think my least favourite sprue of the past few years has got to be the flayed ones from the Necrons. Because they made me so angry. I also didn't enjoy building the Minister of Knights either.
Did you not?
No. So they're my least favourite sprues. My least favourite brew, I think, has already kind of been mentioned. That's a Guinness.
Yeah.
That stuff is. I mean, I've been told the proper Irish stuff is better, but Guinness. If we're talking a hot beverage, I don't think there is a hot drink that I don't like. I like coffee. I like lattes. I like cappuccinos. I like tea. So let's just go with Guinness for me.
That's one, Dave. I think my least favourite sprue is the Eldar War Walker. And there's a specific bit where you have to attach the legs to like the pelvis joint, and it's inside the thing, and my fingers are quite big and chunky. That's my least favourite sprue. My least favourite brew, I don't know, because I just don't drink them if I don't like them generally. I think I mean, I'm not a big beer drinker, so I'll just say beer, generally beer.
Fair enough.
Oh god, my least favourite sprue.
Oh no, Baileys. Ugh.
You don't like Baileys?
You never drinking Baileys from a shoe?
Yeah.
I love Baileys.
This is Baileys as close as you can get without getting your eyes wet.
Oh, okay. Least favourite sprue is dead easy, because back in, I think it was 2nd edition Age of Sigmar, I built and painted 21 of these for an event, and I almost threw them out the window, and that's the plastic spirit hosts.
I don't mind them.
It's fine when you get to the 21st one and you've worked out how to put everything together, but when you've got like cuts on your hands from mould lines, and then like you got glue on your hands from holding it in place, and then you put it on the table and it just sort of droops down and falls off because you haven't quite got it perfect. Yeah, Spirit Host is easily the worst brew I've ever built. And then brew, I don't know.
One of Dave's. His wife's very nice at making brews, but
Hold on. For years, I've made you brews, and this has only become a thing.
And I didn't
very
realise how
recently.
bad it was until your wife.
I never
started
get
making
complaints at work.
Too polite to tell you, Dave.
I don't think your brothers ever. I don't think these two ever complain about a brew I've made them. Actually, I might not have ever made you two a brew thinking about.
What
it.
we'll do is we'll take a picture of the next brew you make and we'll put it online and see what people
Yeah,
reckon.
we'll let
Fine.
the community decide how
Fine.
good Dave's brew making skills are.
I'd probably say Monster's my least
Monster?
favourite brew.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
it's just too sweet.
Too sweet.
Yeah.
Well, my least favourite sprue is one of the Warcry kits. I think they're called the Corvus Cabal.
The bird guys.
Bird guys.
Yeah.
The bird guys. Similar to the story that Jay was saying earlier, I've got big, meaty monkey hands. So if you've got little fiddly parts that need to go together, similar to the Spirit Host in a very precise way, where it looks like the contact point is on the reverse of the image that you've got as well. It's not working. My hands are too chunky to do it. They were really difficult to build. I nearly threw them out the window too. Least favourite brew, at the same time as Jay, beer. I'm not a beer guy. Whiskey, I like whiskey, but beer, no, not for me.
Baileys. I love Baileys.
Love a beer, especially a craft beer. Very nice, very tasty.
Oh. Sandy, what is on your
What have we got?
piece of paper?
Oh my days. Animosa Rex.
Anonymous Rex.
Anonymous. Is that it? Oh my
Anonymous
gosh.
Rex. Who's
I'm
a
so
regular?
special. Anonymous Rex. What is your guys' favourite non-Games Workshop or Lord of the Rings universe or settings for games, books, etc.?
Good question.
That is a good question.
Okay.
Ooh, I need a minute for this.
I quite like the Infinity setting myself,
Okay.
which is like it's sort of an anime styled, not quite far future like Warhammer 40k. I think it's set like in 2100 or something. The set is really interesting. So basically, all of your sort of nation states as they exist on Earth today, like America's no longer a superpower, Europe's no longer a superpower. You've got a new superpower. So there's like a Chinese Eugene Empire. There's a Pan-Oceania, so the South Americas and Australias and Australasia form the big superpower. And then these nations have gone off into space and colonised planets in space. And in some planets have been half colonised by Pan-Oceania, and then the other half of it's been colonised by Eugene. So you've got all these tensions between the different nations on Earth and across the different spheres of these colonies that they've got. And that forms the background for the game, where you've got special, almost like Warcry style, sort of spec ops units from these different nations that are, and the missions might be to retrieve some data or to perform some sort of industrial espionage on the. There's like a policing force. The O12 is the central governing body that governs all these nations and sets the rules and things, but all these sort of conflicts go underneath the scenes. And then, on top of all of that, there's an alien intelligence that's invading the human sphere, basically. So these nations, they're fighting and draining their own resources against each other, but potentially humanity is at risk because of this alien intelligence that's coming. And there's other alien intelligences that have come to humanity. They're fleeing this other intelligence. I think it's a really, really nice setting. Yeah. It's a really, really nice skirmish game.
Really nice model range.
Really nice model range, different factions. And Corvus Belli, the company that run it, they've expanded into different systems. So they've released a Kickstarter board game. They've released three actually. So Infinity Defiance was based on their sci-fi universe. Another system that they've released, which I've actually backed to wait for this to smoke, is Tag Raid, which is a bit like Adeptus Titanicus in that you're fighting mechs off against each other. And they've recently just launched a new fantasy universe, Warcrow. It's coming first as a dungeon crawl on Kickstarter, but their plan is then to release it as a miniature game, and it's not quite clear yet whether it's going to be a skirmish miniature game or a rank and file sort of Age of Sigmar style thing. So that's a universe that I really like. That's not Games Workshop. I would have said Lord of the Rings, but I think Middle Earth was on there, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, so I want to jump in here with Cyberpunk. So obviously it's kind of gained a bit more popularity recently with the CD Projekt Red video game, but Cyberpunk's been a long-standing RPG series, and it's just so cool, and its influence has bled into other things. Like Infinity is a very cyberpunk.
It is, Blade Runner style.
Yeah. So essentially the kind of the main gimmick is that there's been various wars fought between mega corporations. So it's got to the point where these corporations are more powerful than countries or government bodies, because they hold all the cards, and they're all kind of at each other's throats, but doing it covertly as well. So similar to Necromunda, there's lots of gangs and individuals out to get a living, living on the streets, where you've got a very short life expectancy and things are pretty grim, and these corporations are probably dragging poor homeless people off the streets and doing experiments on them and stuff. As part of this, you've got kind of a group of people called edge runners. Essentially, there'll be different fixers who will act as kind of contacts and get jobs for various individuals, crime syndicates, the corporations themselves, and they'll get together a team to go and do these tasks. That's essentially what the RPG is built around. Your party meeting in an inn will be your team of various individuals meeting in a really cool bar with some like synth music playing in the background. There's lots of neon going on. But the characters that you play as, you've got like rocker boys who are like, maybe they're like rock stars turned mercenaries. You've got medias because covering these events is big money as well. You've got the net runners, which is again bled into other universes where the internet as was has been destroyed and there's fragment bits, and there's kind of like similar to Archaeotech and 40k, there's bits of the old net that are hidden down below things, and there's demons running through them, which are essentially computer viruses, but when your netrunner kind of goes into it, it is as real as a bloodthirster in your face, this computer virus attacking you. and stuff from the Matrix has come from that. It's all very, very cool and high tech and grim dark at the same time, with a bit of neon. I mean, with the Christmas lights, I think we've got a bit of a cyberpunk vibe going on maybe here. But definitely give it a go if you're into that kind of thing. With the right group of people, you can have really, really fun games with that as well.
See, I've not really gone that deep into any of the systems yet. I know we played War Machine a very long time ago, and I can't really remember the story for that now, but I do remember the setting being very cool, where you had the war jacks
it was
that you would control.
Type setting.
Yeah, I like the steampunk kind of aesthetic. So I'm probably going to go a bit more mainstream, and I don't really know if this is what Anonymous Rex wanted, but I really like the Marvel sort of universe. I love the cinematic universe, but also the comics as well. And also Discworld, I think would make quite a good kind of tabletop.
See, I never read any of the Discworld books, but everyone seems to.
They are brilliant.
I've not met a single person.
I'm massively into, if we didn't run a Warhammer website, I'd probably be a lot more into Marvel comics, and I know you've dabbled in
Marvel Crisis Protocol.
For some reason his name was completely escaping me. I should really play some of that.
So it's really
I'm a massive
so
Marvel
what we should
fan.
do, Dave, in the new year, I've got loads of miniatures. We'll play a game. You know what? We'll feature it on the show as well.
Yeah.
We had some plans of doing some
alternative,
some universe kind of games and stuff. So definitely in the new year, maybe even January, we'll film the Marvel Crisis Protocol battle as a kind of how to play kind of video.
We could literally have like Dave's first game of Marvel.
Yeah.
Because it's a game that's growing in popularity from what I've seen on social media. Marvel's obviously, the cinematic universe has been going for a long time. But
how many marks out of 10 would you rate?
I'm not getting into any
Age of Ultron.
I'm not getting into any of film scores. There's a reason I never was a film critic. I don't do those. But yeah, I would say those two universes for me have always grabbed me, and absolutely, Andy, you should read that. I know Jay's a massive Discworld fan.
I read all the Discworld books when I was on uni, going to uni backwards and forwards on the train. Went through the whole series, How
about you, Andy? What's your universe that you like outside of Warhammer and Middle Earth?
Well, like Dave said, War Machine Hordes. I back when Warhammer Fantasy, towards the end of it, when it was getting a bit sort of stale, and I was a bit bored of it, so that sort of thing. I dabbled in War Machine and Hordes, and I did Circle of Orboros, I think it was. And they were like all these big beasts and kind of like wood elf type of people. And I loved that whole sort of bestial sort of look to the beasts or whatever they're called. And then I loved the steampunk look of the warjacks and all that sort of stuff. And then you got me onto a show called Arcane. Which is all about the leagues of... Is it
League of Legends, isn't it?
League of Legends, and that was just mind-blowing.
One of the best shows on Netflix.
Oh, easily, without a doubt, I mean, I think they are doing season 2, aren't they? We just don't know when it's
season
coming
2's
out.
coming. There's a few things coming out because there's a couple of games. You've obviously got League of Legends MOBA game.
Yeah.
There's some RPGs you can play, Legend of the Undying King or something. But they're working on an MMO in that universe as well, like a Warcraft style game.
Maybe me and you could do a bit of War Machine at some point during 2023, because I'd love to pick up some of those steampunk mechs again.
There's a new system, because you've got War Machine and Hordes, but there's a new one out as well, which is more sci-fi.
Well, of course there is,
I can't remember what it's called, from the same company. And I know with War Machine and Hordes, they were compatible systems, so you could play it against it. I don't know if this new one is or not.
I also want to give a shout out before we get to the next question. Star Wars Legion, we've all picked up armies in the ridiculous sale that they had earlier in the year. So I want to get on that.
Yeah, there's a couple in there, because you've got the Star Wars Legion, there's Game of Thrones as well, which is... And Conquest, I always see Conquest.
Really nice models.
Yeah, really nice models, and I think they actually spend a lot of effort on the universe and the setting as well. It's like a living universe. And
well, they sent us a copy of the core box. We did a review and unboxing on the channel, but we haven't streamed a game of that yet, so I think we should get that painted up and play a game, Jay.
Yeah.
So, Brian Dennis says, Merry Christmas, chaps.
Merry Christmas, Brian.
Have a great one. Thanks for your content this year, and I look forward to more next year. Anyway, my question. You all have many armies, but you are only allowed to keep one for each system. AOS, 40k and Heresy. Which army do you keep? Dave, this is going to be really hard for you.
Oh my days. See, this would change with the wind, I think. If I was to pick one right now, I think I'm having so much fun writing lists and painting guards that they're all I want to play.
Yeah.
So it would probably be those,
Yep.
which is a shame because got lots of complete armies. For Sigmar, probably the armies I've got right now, probably Muscaven.
Yep.
And Heresy, I'm not really. I've got my 1,000 suns.
Space Marines. Keep Space Marines.
Keep Space Marines.
Key Space Marines. Okay. Okay, Jay.
Well, for Warhammer 40k, it's an easy choice. If the Crap World Eldar weren't on my shelf, I wouldn't play Warhammer 40k. So it'd be the Crap World Eldar would be the army I keep for Warhammer 40k. For Age of Sigmar, that's a tricky one because I'm not falling out of love with Age of Sigmar, but I'm not feeling Age of Sigmar. We'll see what happens next year. Obviously, I really like my Lumineth collection for Age of Sigmar, but actually, I think if the Duardin weren't in the universe, I wouldn't. So I'd like to keep the Duardin there. Currently, they're only Cities of Sigmar. Whether Duardin get fleshed out in their own book or something in the future, who knows?
See, when I think of you and Age of Sigmar, I think of your Sylvaneth. So that was the answer I was expecting. I forgot about your dwarves, but
Yeah.
I think you had so many games with Sylvaneth. You like?
I do like the stuff. They were my first sort of faction for Age of Sigmar, and I do like the range and the recent models they've had for the Sylvaneth are really, really good. But I just love the Dwarf Ironbreaker, and I love the look of a Dwarf Ironbreaker. For Horus Heresy, that's probably the toughest one because obviously I love the Legio Custodes, I love the Imperial Fist, and I love the Blood Angels. If I could only keep one, it'd have to be the Blood Angels, I think.
Yeah, that's the answer I would come for Jay.
Okay.
Oh. For 40k, that's quite nice and easy. At the minute, I've got Chaos Knights and I'm working on Death Guard, so I've only got those two. So I keep my Chaos Knights because they're a nice small elite army that I can play a game relatively quickly.
And come in the top 5 at tournaments with.
Maybe. So that's a nice easy one. Plus I love Chaos, so that keeps that in there. Age of Sigmar. Oh, I'd have to flip a dice to be honest with you. It'd either be my
Flip a
ogres
dice?
It's going to be the Ogres, hasn't it?
or my giants, because painting a giant takes forever, so I don't really want to do that.
Don't you
again.
have 1,000,000 points worth of Maggotkin?
You can cheat.
I do.
You can cheat though, because you just take an Ogre as a mercenary and a Giant as a mercenary. And
okay, yeah, it's going to be the ogres then.
Ogres with Giant support.
With giant support, yeah.
I mean, a Giant is just a big Ogre.
Bundo Whalebiter. I'd definitely keep him.
I thought you might have said Fire Slayers as well, because you're quite short, and Fire Slayers are quite short.
Back in Fantasy, I played nothing but dwarfs. That's the only army I ever played. Age Sigmar, I've not played dwarfs, not once. I tried KO, but I just couldn't get into them.
You had some Fire Slayers for a stage as well, didn't you?
I've still got some unbuilt on Sprue.
You're a bit like me.
That
What's a little bit surprised?
Was that January we bought that box?
January, yeah.
Yeah.
With the IDF and Fire Slayer.
Yeah. Oh dear.
For me, it's feeling better. Mine aren't built either.
Oh, okay. That's right. And then Heresy, I've always wanted to do an Iron Warriors army, and I've started building one, but dare I say it, I've always wanted to do Blood Angels as well.
Best Legion. The ninth.
Yeah. But I'm going to say Iron Warriors. I'll keep it traitor.
Well, this is really, really hard. So 40k, it's got to be the Deathcore Krieg. They're my boys. Now, Demons are a close second, but the Deathcore Krieg, again, iconically 40k, I think, for me.
Does that mean you're going to cheat for Age of Sigmar and say demons, and you technically saved on
No, it's fine. So for AOS, I'm going to go Head Knights of Slanesh.
Okay.
Because I fell in love with that army painting them. And again, it's got the demon element in there, so I get to have the demons. Unfortunately, I can't do mixed demons in AOS, otherwise that would be the answer. So, for Horus Heresy, we're going to go Demons of the Ruin Storm.
There you go, there's where you get some
multiple
demons.
Bloodthirsters, multiple big gribbly demons, and like 3,000 points to them is a lot of demons. Unfortunately, they haven't got rules in 2nd edition, so does that even count for this answer? I think it does.
Yeah, I think so. So Matt, you passed around a second round of questions.
Did second round of questions.
So the next one is from Sombermine. Hi Sombermine. You spend lots of time hobbying and talking about hobby, but you seem to all have a job and partners, from what I've heard on the podcast. How do you find that much time? How do you organise your time and budget, if you're not too indiscreet? And thanks for the great content, Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Sombermine. And the answer is a lot of begging and buying bags and clothes. No, on a serious point, it's just, I don't know, we just seem to find time, don't we? It's just about, you know, I obviously I've got a wife and child that I want to see all the time. But we, I know we are just a little bit clever with time, aren't we?
We are, yeah. It may seem that we're warhammering all day, all the time, but I guess we've got specific days where we tend to do content.
Yeah, we do. We tend to split, sort of review things, and I might be editing a video that Andy's been doing a lot of the other content for. So we kind of separate tasks like that. We might have one weekend where we do quite a lot of hobbying, and then not so much.
With review stuff as well, there might be a week where there's just one thing out. Like, for example, the recent releases, there's only been a few things out, haven't there? Where sometimes there might be multiple battle tomes out, so we'll all jump on a different part and we'll all get involved doing that content for the Saturday morning. It's part of the reason why we've changed the podcast schedule as well, isn't it?
I think, we're getting to a point, because obviously we want to do more of this, more video content for you guys. Obviously Matt being in his new place and us having the ability to stream stuff again, it is a case of time is kind of being stretched. The podcast isn't just sitting and recording it for a couple of hours. There's then obviously the editing that goes into that as well, and the publishing and stuff. So
so you may not know, but this is just a hobby for us. It's not full time. Like some other websites do, it's a full time job. We've got day jobs. We've got personal lives outside of the hobby. So we.
Have you?
Apparently so. I've heard rumours. So we will try and maximise our hobby time that we can do, and if that means that we just play a game because we've not had a game for ages, that may mean that we can't film a video. Now, obviously in the new place, we probably will get to the point where actually we're going to roll some dice, we'll just film it anyway.
Yeah.
Which is an advantage of having the new place now. But I guess it's a careful balancing act, isn't it?
It is. I tend to find that a lot of my time, although I've got a dedicated hobby space at home, which I'm very lucky and fortunate to have, and again, involved a lot of begging and sort of deals with the wife, but actually I spend quite a lot of my time interacting with my family while building and painting, so I'm still involved in kind of the family life. So that's another way of doing it, really, isn't it?
See, for me, it's... I lowered my painting expectations. So for me, now what I'll do is I'll do base coats, I'll do washes, and then I'll do the base. And then I can come back to that army or that unit or whatever in 6, 7, 8 months time, and I can do all the highlights and stuff on it. Because once you've got that base done, you almost fool yourself into thinking that model is done. Yeah. With my Death Guard that I'm painting up, obviously Death Guard have tons of detail on them, and so I'm just picking one at a time and going through it. But I bought I've made jokes that I slipped and buy a load of stuff, but I bought the Death Guard Christmas box, another box of Plague Marines, and some Death Shroud Terminator as well as that Warlord.
You got some Death Shroud as well.
Yeah, they are gorgeous models.
They are beautiful models. They're the only thing missing from my Death Guard army. And Mortarion, actually. I don't own Mortarion yet.
But I look at them and I'm like, my plan with them is get them all built, get them all primed, and I'll spend a week doing all the Balthasar Gold, spend a week doing like all the base coats on them, and then just do a wash, do the bases, and then 2 years time I can come back. When the next get a Death Guard Codex, I can come back to them.
Yeah.
And it just maximises your hobby time doing it. It's like, batch painting is your friend, basically.
It is. Cool.
Yeah, I tend to try and double up a lot of stuff. So when we're recording the podcast, that's 2 hours where I'm sitting at the desk recording the podcast. I'll do some painting then, and I find it rather than booking in slots, because you can't with kids and the family and job and stuff, I tend to do little chunks when I can. So, you know, the boys have gone to bed, I've got an hour and a half, I can get some painting in that night, or the next night we've got the karate run, so I can't do any that night. So I just find if you've got a 45-minute slot, it's better to paint for 45 minutes than not paint at all.
Paint streams are perfect, aren't they?
I was just going to say, I mean, the fact that we've now got the return of the painting stream, it's killing two birds with one stone, where we're interacting with you guys' community, we're putting out content, and we're doing some painting of our armies, so it's like a win-win-win, isn't it?
Some of us are. I find I do less painting on the painting stream.
I mean, you're doing a great job hosting it and chatting, while we're like, yeah, man, okay, carry on. we'll just sit here and paint.
But it is good fun, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, is it?
Next question.
What have we got?
This is from Jack Harkness. If you could have a model made for any army or range, what would you have and why? Keep up the good work. Thanks, Jack.
Model for any army or range.
Go on, and Matt, you can go first.
Obvious one. Demon Fulgrim.
Demon Fulgrim.
I think it'd be a model I want to see and paint.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Demon Fulgrim, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think that's a while away. I don't think you need 10th edition.
Yeah.
He's going to be coming at some point.
Maybe
surely.
11th or 12th.
I mean, we might see a resin one for Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
That's a really tough question.
See, for me, I'd love to see a grot balloon that's sort of patched together by various different things that floats along the battlefield and just drops squigs out the side.
That's
That'd
amazing.
I think
really
that would be
cool.
hilarious. It's very grot as well.
What if the balloon is actually a giant inverted squid?
Well, there you go, perfect, yeah. Giant floating squig.
That's just inspired me to come up with an answer, actually. A big Caradron Dreadnought airship.
I've seen some
That would be
conversions.
That'd be really
like
cool.
like a carrier.
yeah,
Ships taken
yeah.
off from it.
And this is a bit of an unusual choice, but we've been chatting a lot about Horus Heresy the past few days, and I was looking at some example Imperial Militia lists. I noticed you can take Cyber Familiars,
Yeah.
and then it made me think, wouldn't it be cool if the Guard had like a canine unit?
Yes.
I mean, it's more than one model, but that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
That would be cool.
But I can't think of it. I'm struggling.
I mean, the
Why?
Emperor would be an amazing
The Emperor,
one.
yeah, would be mint.
I don't think we'll ever do a model for him, but that'd be cool.
Maybe a collection of Sigma would be a good one.
You know what I'd like to see? The Sigilite.
Yeah.
As a collect, probably not got rules, but as a collector's model from an event or something.
Yeah. I think I'd like to see. There's some aspect warriors that I mentioned in the background for the Craft World Elder, backing from second or third edition. I think they're called the Slicing Orbs, and they've never had models. So obviously, Forge World released the Shadow Spectres aspect warriors, which were a new aspect that was invented or added to the lore during one of the Forge World.
book?
The Forge World books. Anyway, the Slicing Orbs, I'm sure they're called the Slicing Orbs. They're actually in the Codex, the 40k Eldar Codex. One of the older ones. I don't know if they're in the new ones. It's definitely in the third edition one. I'd love to see a unit of those and a Phoenix Lord.
And one other model that I would like to see is I'm a big fan of Gotrek, and I've read a lot of the books, and I still think to this day that we'll see Felix in the Mortal Realms. Maybe Felix in Stormcast.
Okay.
It's a really cool Stormcast. Or Cities of Sigmar as a Doorbringer, but I think it's more likely with him being from the old world, being human, that we'll see him
He'd
as
be
a
getting on a
Stormcast.
bit now if he was still
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah.
Gotrek needs a friend, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, they've done a great job in the new books of introducing the Dark Elf and stuff, but he needs his best mate. Yeah.
That's all he wants for Christmas.
That's all he wants for Christmas.
He's a new friend. Okay. So. Oh, pronounce this name. David Paul Anderson. Love the podcast and looking forward to seeing what comes for the future of Sprues and Brews. My question is, what game system have you wanted to play but never got around to?
Ooh.
Cheers, guys. Happy Christmas.
I mean, that's dead easy for me because it's already coming on this show, and that's Crisis Protocol.
Yeah.
Now, if we were keeping it, we've already spoken about it, so we're not going to touch on it yet. But if we were talking Games Workshop stuff, the system that I would like to play that I've not played yet is Adeptus Titanicus.
Yeah, we need to do that in the new year as well, Dave.
I would like to play that.
Yeah, that Titanicus is a nice game.
I think the only one I've not played is, I mean, I haven't played Necromunda yet. That's the big one. But I do like Adeptus Titanicus as well.
Have you not played Titanicus?
No, I keep looking at. I mean, we had a game of Aeronautica, didn't we, back in March or whatever it was, and that was really fun. I quite like the look of painting up like an Iron Warriors, Horus Heresy themed Aeronautica force with like Thunderhawk and stuff like that.
Using the Horus Heresy rules for it.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd probably have to go Necromunda, just because you guys love it. Got a friend of a podcast called Craig, he loves it. So if all of you guys love it, then yeah, definitely worth giving it a go. So
I think I've played every GW game, so I'm going to go for non-GW one. Conquest: Last Argument of Kings.
Yeah.
Looks really good. It's very much a reimagined Warhammer Fantasy with different flanking, but it's got an interesting mechanic.
It's got the card activations.
Activations and stuff, yeah. So I'm going to go for that, and we are going to play a game of that in the new year, Jay.
Yes.
That's my to-do list.
Yeah, I think for me it would be the Game of Thrones game. For a similar reason, it's the rank and file and things like that. I also think the model range is quite nice for the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, really cool. Well, that brings us to our final question. I wonder who it could be from. It is from Santa, gentlemen.
Oh my goodness.
Santa says...
The big man himself.
The big man himself. Santa says, ho ho ho. What's your favourite sprue and what's your favourite brew? Make sure to let me know what you want for Christmas. Well, the big man's wanting answers. I may as well start with this, haven't I? My favourite sprue. This is a really, really, really hard question. Current favourite sprue, and I say the brand new Demon Prince, which isn't out yet, but if you picked up the Slaves to Darkness box, you will have access to it, because it's got so many different options. You've got 5 different heads, so like an undivided one for each god. You've got 40k parts on there, you've got AOS parts on there. You can change the pose of it in 2 different ways, so multiple demons look different. You've got wings, you've got trophy racks, you've got different weapons. I haven't built it yet because I want to try and magnetise it. I think it's going to be fairly easy to magnetise the weapons and the heads with a little bit of work. So that's a project for the new year. Favourite brew? I'm going to say a Hotel Chocolat white chocolate.
Very nice.
It does sound nice, yeah, it does sound nice. My favourite brew, favourite sprue. Ooh. You know what, I'm going to say, what's it, the Einherjar Hearthguard, the Terminators for Leagues of Votan. They were a dream to build. I mean, even looking at like the helmets and stuff, you've got that sort of 1980s space astronaut helmet sort of thing, mixed with is it the Ironkin, the robots or whatever mixed in.
And a grenade over the shoulder.
Yeah, the little grenades over the shoulders and stuff. And the fact that they are only like mini, but we're like toughness 5. Yeah, I think those have been. They're definitely one of those kits that I want to buy a couple more boxes of. And favourite brew, you know what, I'm just going to go for good old Pepsi Max.
Other caffeinated beverages are available.
Yep.
Yeah, well, so my favourite sprue at the moment, I think, in recent memory, is also the Leagues of Votan, the Einherjar Champion, which is, he's like the character model of the Einherjar Hearthguard armed with he's got the shield and the axe and the hammer and the big ram thing on the back. That model wasn't the one that jumped out at me when we first saw the Leagues of Votan range revealed, but having got the set and built it, I built 2 of them now. I think it's an incredible one, really, really dynamic looking, really, really chunky, really, really nice rules. So I love the Einherjar Champion. My favourite brew is always a Yorkshire tea.
Nice. My favourite sprue...
But not one of Dave's. Maybe one of Dave's wives, Yorkshire teas.
Ignoring that comment, my favourite sprue at the moment, you don't know if something like Death Watch sprue, that's still a classic sprue, lots of options on there, but my new favourite sprue is the Cadian Command Squad, which is currently available in the Cadia Stands box. So many options on that sprue. Like, I was racking my brain like what to equip my Command Squad with, because I want to give them everything. But you've got loads of different. You've got this different las pistols, bolt pistols, chainswords, power fists, pointing hands. You've always got to have a guy pointing. Plasma pistols. You've got head score, the Vox guy. It's such a great sprue, and
is it compatible with the Cadian kit as well?
Absolutely. So I'm going to be using some of the bits from that sprue on, some of my sergeants and stuff from my Cadian shock troops, because although the Cadian shock troops sprue is brilliant, and there's loads of options on there. Tons. You're never going to run out of heads. Gee whiz, there's loads of heads.
Gee whiz.
But they're all the parts are interchangeable. You can build like 2 or 3 sergeants from the sprue and the shock troops box, but you can use the bits from your command squad as well, which is great. And I'm really looking forward to picking up the Castellan when he comes out, because he looks like he's on quite a few options, and he'll also be convertible by using all these different parts from your Cadian stance box. So yeah, absolute dream sprue that is. Favourite brew has to be a honeycomb latte.
A honeycomb latte?
Or one of our local cafes, quite a small firm, not one of these big chains. And they do a superb honeycomb latte.
Excellent.
Yeah, really, really nice.
Awesome. Well, how have you enjoyed the Christmas party, chaps?
It's been great.
Feeling very festive.
Feeling very festive. As soon as you switch these lights on, Matt, I like my festive meter went up.
Can't see the Christmas tree over there.
Can't see the Christmas tree, but it's there. It's there. Yeah, it's been really good. It's been really good chatting to you guys about the hobby.
Can you believe it's Christmas Day tomorrow?
No, I can't actually.
I am in serious trouble. It's Christmas Day tomorrow morning.
So we hope you have a nice Christmas. Obviously, we'll be back in the first week of January with the next episode of the podcast. So on that, in case you haven't had the chance to send them in yet, we want to know your hobby resolutions for 2023. We'll be sharing ours on the show, and we'll be finding out just how many we've achieved, which Jay's got his head in his hands for those who are listening.
I know we would obviously say this, but if you're only going to listen to 1 or 2 of our podcasts a year, this absolutely has to
the first one and the last one.
The podcast you have to listen to, because you'll find out how much we fail, and you'll hear us giving ourselves unbelievable hobby resolutions in the year ahead. So it'll be a great episode. It's one I really look forward to.
And the mental gymnastics trying to justify how we've actually achieved our hobby resolution as well.
Get the excuses in.
Yeah.
And let us know what you think of this. Obviously, it's a bit of a one-off special, a video/audio podcast. So if you have enjoyed this, let us know. We have enjoyed doing it, so it's definitely something we'd look to do again if you guys have enjoyed it. But until next time, we'll see you real soon, and have a great Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Bye!